Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because today Malawi's parliament is not sipping tea, it's brewing a full pot debate strong enough to wake the entire African continent. On November 19th, 2025, the political battleground went live, and we are taking you front row into the speeches, alliances, agendas, side eyes, attempted power plays, and the kind of political tension that could power a small city. So grab a seat, silence your phone unless you're doom scrolling while watching, and let's unpack everything happening inside Malawi's parliament today. Because trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of this episode. When Malawi's parliament opened on November 19th, 2025, viewers around the country weren't just tuning in to another parliamentary seating. They were stepping into what might as well be the season premiere of a high-rating political drama series. Why? Because this isn't just another session. It's the 52nd parliament, first meeting of the new cycle, and the stakes could not be higher. Right out the gate, what makes this sitting incredibly important is its timing. It comes after a fiercely competitive election cycle, a wave of shifting alliances, and a public that isn't just demanding accountability. They want receipts, transparency, reforms, better services, and leaders who actually walk the talk, not just tweet it. This session is also where newly elected MPs get to begin stamping their presence. Some stand tall with fresh mandates, some are quietly sweating over the heat of public expectations, and a few are probably praying that reporters don't ask questions they're not ready for. The eyes of the nation are watching, and for many politicians, this is the moment where reputations are built, broken, repaired, or permanently meme-defied online. But beyond the drama, this session is where Malawi's next governing priorities start to take shape. Decisions here could impact budget allocations, public spending, legislative direction, oversight actions, and how effectively the government intends to push forward its development agenda. Whether you're a policy analyst, a businessman, a farmer watching from your living room, a student, or just someone scrolling while pretending to work, what happens in this chamber can and will ripple outward. Think of it like the pilot episode of a series. Brand new characters, fresh direction, high suspense, and no one quite sure who's going to turn into the fan favorite or the villain of the season. And best believe the country is not just ready to watch, it's ready to judge. And if you thought the opening was intense, wait until you hear what Malawi's lawmakers actually came to the floor to do. At exactly 2 p.m. local time, Malawi's parliament dropped the order paper, and trust me, if you thought your office task list looked intimidating, this one could make even a seasoned politician swallow a little harder. This is where the official business of the day gets laid out. Motions, bills, reports, debates, policy activities, and anything else that needs the legislative spotlight. On November 19th, the agenda was packed, meaning nobody in that chamber was getting out early for lunch. Now, when a parliamentary sitting begins, the agenda is not just an administrative document, it's the map over the day's political fight is about to go. Every section signals what the government wants passed, what the opposition is ready to challenge, and what key policy discussions might become tomorrow's headlines. We're talking everything from proposed changes to existing laws, new legislative drafts, accountability questions, national updates, and matters brought before the speaker by members who probably rehearsed their speeches in the mirror at least twice. And while the audience watching from home may not read legislative orders for fun, the content can have real-world consequences. A bill is discussed, that could affect taxes, investment policies, fuel imports, healthcare reforms, national programs, public works, trade tariffs, the list goes on. A motion is introduced, that could spark a full-blown national conversation by the evening news. One thing seasoned watchers know is that the agenda sometimes hides the real surprises, because Parliament is like live television. Unscripted moments happen, political jobs fly, alliances shift mid-sentence, and the speaker's gavel becomes the country's busiest sound effect. And with a Parliament fresh off election changes, everyone is trying to prove something, show strength, secure their base, or demonstrate that they're the person who came ready to work for the people, at least on camera. But of course, every political show is only as exciting as the characters on stage. So let's talk about the power players entering the ring.
If Parliament on November 19th were a boxing match, this would be the walk-in entrance scene. New MPs, returning MPs, ministers, party leaders, everyone stepping into the room with new ambitions and old grudges. Some come with fresh mandates and a fan base cheering them on. Others are entering with the pressure of proving that they still deserve the seat they're occupying. That's the power of a recent election cycle. It resets the board, changes the score, and introduces new personalities into the mix. Malawi's 2025 elections reshuffled leadership, alliances, and parliamentary math. That means new power centers, new committee structures, new political strategies, and probably a few individuals hoping voters forgot about promises they made during campaign season. For some MPs, this is their chance to shine, speak loudly, get noticed, trend online, and gain committee influence. For others, it's a moment of survival, keeping political relevance alive in a chamber where the spotlight is not always kind. One thing that always stands out after major elections is the tone. Parliamentarians begin their first sitting ready to signal who they're going to be for the next cycle. Will they be the fiery speaker who takes no prisoners? The policy nerd with facts dripping out like a faucet? The silent player who watches quietly and then strikes when least expected? Or the person who exists mainly to clap loudly, nod at the right time, and hope the camera doesn't catch them dozing off? This parliament is also a battlefield of ideologies. You've got government side pushing its legislative agenda, the opposition ready to scrutinize, and independents deciding whether to swing one way or play their cards close. And while everyone looks calm in suits, inside the room is a silent scoreboard. Who spoke well? Who embarrassed themselves? Who made headlines? Who just announced their 2027 re-election campaign without saying it out loud? But now that we know who's on the field, the next question is, what's actually at stake when the talking stops and the voting begins? Let's be blunt. This parliamentary meeting is not just ceremonial. What happens here could affect Malawi's economic direction, development pace, national priorities, political stability, and how decisions are made for months or even years. When Parliament sits, it is essentially Malawi's engine room. Laws, policies, national frameworks, and public oversight all funnel through this chamber, meaning when they talk, the country listens, whether it wants to or not. At stake are major national concerns: cost of living pressures, infrastructure expansion, employment issues, foreign investment interests, governance reforms, public service delivery improvements, and ongoing questions around resource management. Citizens across the nation are hoping for more than speeches. They want results, action, direction, and leadership that feels real and measurable. For the government side, this meeting is a chance to show that campaign promises weren't just talk. For opposition, it's a chance to prove they're not just complaining, but actually holding the government accountable with fact-based scrutiny. For neutral observers, civil society groups, economists, NGOs, business circles, and everyday Malawians, the question is simple. Will the session bring meaningful movement or just another expensive round of talking without outcomes? Politically, this session also influences power dynamics inside the building: committee chairs, leadership leverage, public speaking time, and who carries the reputation of the sharp one who knows their stuff versus the backbencher who only claps when the cameras turn on. But enough about pressure. Let's talk about the most entertaining part of any live session: the showdown moments you need to watch.
Every parliamentary session has predictable elements, but it also has landmines, surprise bombs, live TV chaos, and historical quotes that will end up in tomorrow's headlines. The November 19th sitting is no different. Among the biggest moments to watch are the opening speeches, especially those delivered at the start of a new parliamentary cycle. They set the tone. Confident, nervous, aggressive, diplomatic, visionary, defensive, or occasionally, wow, who approved that speech? Then there are the unexpected motions. Sometimes MPs walk in planning for one conversation, but a sudden amendment throws the room into a spiral. You'll see papers flipping, microphones rising, whispers turning into shouting, and the speaker doing their absolute best to maintain order while silently praying that everyone remembers how microphones work. Voting sessions are also crucial. This is where all the noise collapses into hard numbers. No matter how long someone spoke, how many stats they cited, or how passionately they argued, when the vote is counted, the scoreboard tells the truth. Passing or defeating a motion can instantly change political mood in the room. Watch also for speeches that go viral. Every parliamentary session has that one moment when someone says something bold, clever, cutting, comedic, or unexpectedly emotional, and suddenly social media lights up. And if there's one thing politicians love, it's delivering a line that gets replayed on TikTok with dramatic music and capital letters. But now let's shift the camera. From the chamber to you watching. Why should this session matter to your everyday life? If you're sitting on your couch, scrolling through a phone, catching this broadcast while pretending to answer emails at work, or just casually curious, you might wonder, why should this parliamentary session matter to me? Here's the simple answer. Because decisions made in that room affect your life whether you're watching or not. Public services, business policies, national budget allocations, job environment, inflation, taxation, infrastructure development, foreign agreements, yep, Parliament can influence it. For students, decisions here affect future job markets and education funding. For entrepreneurs, policies can open or close investment opportunities. For workers, parliamentary decisions shape employment protections, benefits, and labor direction. For average citizens, it affects how much money leaves their wallet at the end of the month. Beyond that, watching Parliament teaches voters something essential, what their elected officials are actually doing with the power they were given. Not campaign slogans, actual performance. Transparency is at its strongest when the public pays attention. So, after all this, where does the day leave us? What's the takeaway from the live session?
After the live session of November 19, 2025, one thing is clear. Malawi's political engine just kicked back into motion. Whether you saw unity, competition, ambition, uncertainty, or optimism depends on your viewpoint, but no one can deny that the first session of the new parliamentary cycle sent a message. The message is, this term matters. The next decisions will define whether the government builds momentum or loses public confidence, whether reforms accelerate or stall, whether the nation achieves its ambition of faster growth and better governance or slips into political fatigue. This session marks the beginning of a new scoreboard. The country will not judge MPs based on how well they speak, but how well they deliver over time. The heat is on, the cameras are rolling, and Malawi's parliament has stepped into a new political season with the audience fully awake and ready to critique the performance. And that brings us to you, the viewer, voter, and voice with the power to shake the conversation. If this rundown helped you follow the action without needing a law degree, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a comment with your thoughts, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next update. We cover the politics, the drama, the speeches, the votes, and the story behind the headlines. So join us as Malawi's new parliamentary journey unfolds. Stay curious, stay critical, and stay tuned to Global Pulse News.